Celeste Rivas Hernandez's body was discovered by LA authorities on September 7th, 2025. They have now charged singer David with homicide and believe he actually murdered her 5 months prior to her body being discovered in April of 2025. With every day that passes after David's arrest and more old information getting uncovered, the timeline between Celeste disappearing and her body being found dismembered in the front trunk of a Tesla that belonged to David keeps getting darker. And understanding David's activity after the date that authorities believe he actually took Celeste's life, it's all deeply disturbing. So let's unpack it all. During the time that Celeste's body was found within the Hollywood Hills, David was living in a house in the Hollywood Hills that was rented by his manager. David was on tour at the time that Celeste's body was discovered. We'll touch on that later in this video, but the owner of the house that was being rented by David's manager had actually hired a private investigator by the name of Steve Fisher after Celeste's body was discovered, and the homeowner discovered that the main suspect in this murder was likely living in their home. Initially, these were some of the key findings that Steve Fisher had discovered. He allegedly found sadistic items and tools at the home that David's manager was renting, as well as surveillance footage documenting the final movements of the Tesla that Celeste's body was found. Now, these final movements occurred on July 29th, 2025. The car had allegedly been taken to the impound lot in August of 2025, and Celeste's body was found in the trunk of this vehicle by September. The investigator also unpacked the last known photograph of Celeste, which was allegedly on David's camera roll from the date of January 2nd, 2025. Which is interesting because in the complaint that authorities filed, it claimed that David had been abusing her from the period of September 2023 to September 2024. January 2025 would obviously fall a few months after that. Now, I've done several videos unpacking the evidence and charges that authorities have filed against David, as well as a more in-depth timeline of Celeste and David's alleged relationship. I'll leave those videos in the link in the description of this video if you guys want more backstory, but this video will uncover new information to the timeline, because the private investigator that the homeowner David was living in had hired has now published his own timeline of events as to what David was up to after April 2025, the month that authorities believe he took Celeste's life. The timeline is a factual record of David's public movements, performances, press tours, and social media posts between April 21st and May 22nd, 2025. And this time frame documents the movements and actions of David leading up to, during, and immediately after prosecutors allege that he unalived Celeste on April 23rd and dismembered her body on May 5th, 2025. It's important to emphasize again that David entered a plea of not guilty at his arraignment on April 20th, 2026, and for now he is presumed innocent. Also, prosecutors believe that David did take Celeste's life, allegedly due to the fact that she was going to come forth to authorities about her relationship with David while she was a minor and he was around 20 to 21. They believe taking her life was motivated by financial gain to basically keep the lights of his career turned on, because obviously he would be massively canceled if the world knew that he had a relationship with someone who was just 13. So on April 22nd, BandLab announces that there's going to be a 3-day pop-up event in New York City for David since he was about to release his new album. Again, April 23rd is the date that prosecutors allege Celeste had lost her life at the hands of David in the Hollywood Hills home he was renting, and that she arrived to the house on that evening and was never heard from again. That same evening, David would post a TikTok with the caption saying, "Your prayers have been answered, it's finally here," in relation to the release of his new album, Withered. The next day, after prosecutors believe David took Celeste's life, the tickets for his Withered World Tour would officially go on sale. David would also do a live stream on Twitch that afternoon with the caption saying, "Put the album in the bag, bruh," streaming from what looks like to be a residential home. That night, a text would go out to his fans letting them know of the Withered album release party that was being hosted by David that night. So a day after prosecutors believe he took Celeste's life, he is now partying for the release of his new album. The party would take place in Los Angeles at the 100 Thieves compound, and pictures would release of David partying, celebrating his album release with his friend Neo. Now, in my previous video, again, the link for that is in the description of this video, I went into detail on how Neo was actually arrested for failing to appear as a witness in the investigation into the death of Celeste. This was back in January of 2026, about 3 months before David had actually been arrested. And Neo is believed to have testified and has also cut all ties with David, even posting cryptic Instagram messages calling him a D-head. Again, I explained it in a previous video, but let's focus on the timeline of when Celeste actually allegedly lost her life for now. The day after David's album release party, he would take a flight from LA to New York City to perform at day 1 of his pop-up with BandLab. His album would drop on this day of April 25th, and it would actually hit number 13 on the Billboard 200 charts, released through the major label of Interscope Records. It was no doubt that David had now just hit the peak of his commercial success, all while this 14-year-old little girl had possibly just lost her life. At the pop-up, David would perform his song Afterlife, and there's actually a clip of him performing the song while breaking down in tears. Obviously, the title of the track being Afterlife is incredibly haunting in and of itself, but what's even more disturbing is that 2 days later, at the third date of this pop-up show with BandLab, David would decide to close out that show on April 27th with this song and not just perform it once, but actually twice. The next few days, David would continue with the pop-up shows, doing several from April 27th to the 29th, and continuously posting to his TikTok account throughout that time period as if everything was normal. His family would even join him on stage during his performance in Brooklyn on April 29th. But this is where things get disturbing. It was the next few days that David would go completely silent. No shows, no social media activity, no trace of David in the public light or on the internet. Remember the previous timeline. Prosecutors believe David took Celeste's life on April 23rd in Los Angeles. He would then go on to have an album release party in Los Angeles the following evening. Then he would fly to New York for a couple shows. Then he'd go completely silent for the first 5 days of May. Prosecutors believe that Celeste's body was mutilated on or about the date of May 5th, 2025. On that very same date, in the late hours of 11 p.m. that night, David would post an Instagram story from downtown Los Angeles of a Hello Kitty skateboard deck, asking his fans if he should buy it. If you watch my previous video, you know that Celeste actually went missing wearing Hello Kitty Crocs, and there was several social media posts of both her and David in Hello Kitty attire, and David even made a TikTok saying that he met a quote-unquote Hello Kitty girl back in 2021. Now, the very same night that prosecutors believe Celeste's body had been mutilated in Los Angeles, David is now back in Los Angeles, posting cryptic pictures of Hello Kitty skateboards. His social media activity, being present in Los Angeles, then flying to New York, then flying back to Los Angeles by May 5th, aligns perfectly with the dates that prosecutors believe he took Celeste's life in Los Angeles, and then less than 2 weeks later actually mutilated her body. For the next few days after that, David's social media activity was relatively quiet, sporadic. He'd post a TikTok here and there, but not much else. He would then go on to tour the world, celebrating the success of his debut album that came out just 2 days after prosecutors believe he allegedly took Celeste's life. What's even more disturbing is that during this withered world tour that David would go on, all throughout the summer of 2025, one of the props that he would keep outside of every single venue that he performed at was a casket, almost decorating the outside of every concert venue like a funeral, with a wreath, notepad, a casket, and pencils to write letters to the quote-unquote deceased.
Now, why the fuck would the artist do that?
I'll love you from the afterlife.
Digging through old footage of David, you could find some even more disturbing foreshadowings of this situation. There was one live stream where he talked about how leaving this planet through an electric chair would be the best way to go, disturbingly foreshadowing the fact that David now may face the death penalty for the crimes that he's accused of.
Where are we going? Into the forest. I remember the last time a YouTuber went to the forest. Hey, Logan Paul, my boy. That surgery will probably give me mental problems. I already got them. Give me more. I'm trying to get electric chair. I think that's the best way to go out, electric chair.
And digging back even further, people may have been able to finally trace the moment that David had actually met Celeste. Remember how I said that David posted a TikTok talking about how he met a quote-unquote Hello Kitty girl back in 2021. Many people believe that Hello Kitty girl is Celeste. I dived deeper into that in previous videos, but now some new information has emerged from people who allegedly played Fortnite with David and were in his Discord. If you guys didn't know, I also touched on this in previous videos. David had actually got his start in music unintentionally through video games. He was putting Fortnite montages onto YouTube, and because he was overlaying these video game montages with other music that wasn't his, he would get copyright claimed. So his mother told him to just make music of his own to put in his videos. I bring that up to say David was very big into video games before becoming a musician and throughout his career. He was also heavily on Discord. Now, these people who were allegedly playing video games with David claimed that Celeste would join their Fortnite games, play with them, and eventually join David's Discord when she was just 10 years old. Again, David had that TikTok saying that he met a Hello Kitty girl in 2021, and Celeste would have been just 10 years old in 2021. So these timelines do align. And if these people here are telling the truth, then that means David met Celeste when he was 15 and she was 10, through Discords, through video games, and built their connection online, and then eventually he began abusing her in real life, possibly as early as 2022. We also know that his breakout single, Romantic Homicide, the music video for that song was released on Celeste's birthday in 2022, September 7th.
So before David was David, he used to go by the name Chronic Ant.
24 hours in the woods with Chronic Ant.
Chronic Ant was a really good Fortnite player.
Oh wait, hey.
When Celeste was first identified, I had came across some comments that said that they knew David, they used to play the game with him, and he used to always have his girl around. Looking back on everything now, they 100% think that that was Celeste.
This sickens me, dude. I was in a zone wars with both of them, and thought the little girl in the lobby was someone's sister on the game. I always had a weird feeling about him. I didn't even know he was David.
I'm trying to find a clip of me, Celeste, and David in a call. I knew I should have said something, bro. I thought he was just being normal. We were queuing up in Fortnite with random people, then we queued up with Celeste. At first, it was normal. Like 3 months go by, and I notice it's getting weird. Like, how does he know her entire story? I'm thinking he's just being nice to this kid like a brother. It got weirder every time we would play together. Eventually, he did his own thing.
I was in a lobby while she was there, and that was only one time. I assumed it was someone's sister. Thinking of everything makes more sense now.
Do you remember anything weird about the conversation? Do you remember her username?
I don't remember her username, but there wasn't any weird vibes. We were playing Zone Wars, and she'd just make little comments like everyone while playing. But Ant would joke about SA all the time, and other weird things like severe dark humor, and everyone that's played with him can confirm.
What year and month was this, if you can remember?
January, February 2020, or can be 2021, because it was before I stopped playing, and I stopped playing around then.
And you're sure it was her?
100%. Couldn't have been anyone else.
Yo, I'm watching the live right now, but I just want to say this because me and my friend are trying to recall everything. We were all in a Fortnite team called Chronic, which is where I met him. He met her in like 2021 through Fortnite, I'm pretty sure. And then he made her get Discord. Everyone in the team knew about her, and he would joke about it and brush it off every time it got mentioned. That's all I personally know, but my friend Pistol knows more because they talked way more. She would literally say he her, but then follow it up with a joke. So I don't know if she was being for real or not. He was also just a weirdo, to be honest. He used to send in group chats.
If everything that they allege was true, David was 15 years old and Celeste was 10.
Now, with all this horrifying information coming about, we still haven't actually heard a public statement from David. Of course, his lawyers have said he's not guilty. His family has been trying to fight testifying in the case, but from David directly, there hasn't been a word said. Or has there? There's another creator by the name of Kadisha Lynn who posted a video saying that she spoke with a singer by the name of Caden Nice, who had been communicating with David very frequently for a long period of time, with David even talking to him months after Celeste's body had been found.
Okay guys, so we are back with some new information today about David messaging with people while he was actually under investigation and what he was thinking about it. And I have been learning a lot, especially after my conversation yesterday with one of the young girls that is being brought up in connection with David. When she reached out to me yesterday, she explained the context of her relationship with David, and she also wanted the message out there. That way everybody kind of understood the dynamic of their actual relationship, especially with the rumors going around that he could potentially face charges for 2 allegedly minor girls. If you haven't watched that video from yesterday, definitely go and watch it. But for her circumstance and her context of her relationship with David, it doesn't seem like he would face any charges for that. But her situation, it's not the same as the other young girl's situation. So just know that. She shared messages with me, information she knows, but as of right now, we are going to keep that close to the vest, and I'm not going to actually put that out into the world just because some of the things she did submit to police just in case it might help in the full investigation. But now let's get into these messages of David talking to people while this investigation was ongoing and what he actually thought about this whole investigation. After I saw these DMs leaked online, I went and figured out who they were coming from. And I actually talked to this singer. His name is Caden Nice, and he is the one that actually leaked these DMs on his TikTok. Now, when I actually saw this video, I wasn't sure if these DMs were legitimate because the only reason I was confused is because of the dots that were next to David's name. We know David is verified. I looked into it. I even ran it through AI and it was telling me it was still legit, but I was still confused about this. After running these DMs through the AI and also trying to Google why it would show up this way, it said that there's a couple different reasons. It could potentially be a glitch on Instagram, and it could also be because David had a glitch with his verification. It was taken off, or it was before he had this verification. And then I found out one way where you can make sure that this is actually David's account, and it's to scroll to the top in the messages, and where it says view profile, then you would click on it, and if it takes you to David's page, then you know that these DMs are legitimate. And after he reassured me this is real, he did send me that exact video that I asked for, and just watch. So after doing all of my research, running it through AI, also doing the way where you can verify this is a real message, and also his words saying that they are a real message, and seeing the messages that he had with David all the way since 2023, it seems like these DMs are accurate.
So as you can see, David maintained his innocence in these alleged DMs, really making it seem like he thinks all this will blow over. These were just weeks before he was actually arrested. There was online activity allegedly found from David where he was watching movies, playing Fortnite. And as far as these DMs with Caden Nice, if these messages are real, they started talking to each other all the way back in 2023.
But now let's get into what they actually say. So on October 15th at 10:30, he said to David, "I pray it's just all misinformation. The internet sucks." David says it really does. So much twisted and fake. He responds, "I'm sorry, dude." And David said, "God bless you, twin. Keep going with your music. Don't stop for nothing." And mind you, in October was literally just a month after Celeste, Rivas Hernandez has been identified in the front of David's Tesla. On December 18th, this Caden kid messages David and says, "I know you're innocent, bruh, but why can't the world know? These people are stupid." Huh? I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the way he is talking to David is a little sketch, but he has had a connection online with David for many years. And even the young girl that I talked to claimed that she actually knows this kid also, so... Anyways, David responded to this saying, "Ha ha ha, with all humility, I would phrase it as mere ignorance rather than unintelligence. Trust in God, my friend. How has your journey into faith been going?" And then David proceeds to tell him different things about the Bible, recommending things about the Bible. And then Caden responds, "Damn, dude, thank you." And then he says, "Bro, of course, my goat. When people stop stalking my Instagram followers to make conspiracy theories, I gotta follow you back." And I'm sorry, that's just crazy. But this also shows you the mindset that David was in when he was under investigation before he was actually arrested for Celeste Rivas Hernandez. And y'all remember the rumors that were going around? People swore they kept seeing him active on different social media accounts when he was basically ghost. Well, based off these Instagram messages that I got from Caden Niece, it seems like he really was active. And this message right here was very interesting because I've seen on Reddit where people were finding David's Letterboxd account where he was watching movies. And this is the account that they found on Reddit of David's Letterboxd account. And there was a lot of movies. So yeah, it coincides with what the messages are as well. Last time Caden Niece actually talked to David was on March 28th. And he told him happy birthday. And David responded, "Thank you, brother." So this is literally just a couple of weeks before he was arrested. So definitely very interesting. You can see David's mindset. You can see him actually messaging with people on Instagram while this whole thing was going down. I am also going to play a slowed down video that I made from his videos that he was sending me of these conversations. That way you guys can see how much they actually talked.
This part takes a second because he was scrolling slower at the beginning. And I put it in slow-mo. That way we can see.
And I already went through all of them to see if anything was weird in any of them. Like concerning Celeste, I didn't see anything. So as you can see, back in 2023 is when they really started their conversating. And it seemed like a lot about music, or when David would post on his story, he would say something about that. Until obviously this came out, and then he started, you know, telling David he was sorry, and he believed that David is, or was innocent, is what he believed. I think now he might have a different viewpoint. Twisted and fake. Very interesting, but y'all let me know what you guys think about all this.
Now, this Caden Niece singer was not the only individual who believed that David was innocent. I think the most disturbing case of this comes from the streamer Jasonthee, who had released a song with David in 2025, after the date that prosecutors believe David had taken Celeste's life. This is them in a video together breaking down the lyrics of their song in the summer of 2025. The two collaborators appeared to be friends, even doing live streams together aside from the music.
Like I said, little signs of love, hints of, oh, I might like you. I'm gonna give you everything. I'm gonna buy you a bag, some chrome hearts. I'm gonna buy you a bunch of shit because I'm a trick. Plane ticket to Japan.
How tall is David? Hey, look, there's been a lot of discourse. There's been a lot of discourse regarding my height. I'm gonna just say, Jason is taller than me by about an inch.
No!
by about an
That
inch.
is not an inch. I don't think I'm gonna retire that early.
Okay.
Like, what is early to you? Like
20s.
30.
Retiring at 30.
Wait, how old are you?
I'm 19.
What the f?
I just turned 19.
What the f?
I'm trying to retire tomorrow.
And it gets deeper than that. Jason had starred in music videos with David, appearing in scenes that contained very graphic imagery. Now, I just want to preface this by saying, I do not believe Jason was involved in this crime. I don't think he has anything to do with it. But it's just so disturbing to see the creative direction that David was taking with his music, with his imagery, all related to tragic relationships, violence, death, blood, gore, and even partying with this Jason streamer at Coachella just days before prosecutors believe that David took Celeste's life.
Jason and Pokimane starred in the music video for David's song What Are You Waiting For?, which simulated someone being captured and tied up.
Action. All right, touch the glass a little bit.
Yep, low
to the
panic,
side.
panic.
Yeah, try to jump up too.
Look up, try to reach the top. Get up, try to reach the top. Jump. All right, now look at your wrist, try to get off the rope. Pull it, tug it. Hold on, cut.
David also brought Jason on stage at Coachella. And 3 days after Coachella, on April 23rd, is the last day that Celeste was seen alive. According to prosecutors, she went into David's home and was never heard from again.
Now, we reviewed the timeline, but we haven't really focused on the fact that, again, prosecutors believe Celeste had been unalived in April 2025, her body in the trunk of this Tesla for months throughout the summer of 2025, and all throughout that time, David had actually been on tour. That's why by the time that Celeste's body had been found in September, Jason, who had frequently collaborated with David, did not believe that David was involved in the taking of this child's life, due to the fact that he had already left LA in July and was now months deep on this tour all across different states, far away from the Los Angeles area where the car containing Celeste's body had been found.
Like, the police don't even have him as a suspect. He literally performed yesterday. Right? I'm not fully updated on the news. He's not. Exactly. Honestly, this is good for David. It's a lot of publicity for him. So when he gets proven innocent, he's just gonna keep going crazy. Huh? How does that make me dumb? This is viral. Well, obviously somebody died. I'm not talking about the person that died. I'm talking about people are framing onto David, and he could use that as publicity. What do you mean, GGs? What are y'all talking about? PR ruin. Okay, bro. It's only my com that is more scared of me talking about a situation that everyone else has talked about. I'm gonna be on stage performing somewhere uptown with David on the 20th. Hopefully, unless things change. That's the same day at camp. Yeah. I'm gonna go to camp that day, and then I'm gonna dip mid camp and go perform, and then go back to camp. But yeah, I don't think anything changed, man. I hope not. I hope he's doing well.
So as you can see here, Jason had thought he was about to join David on tour in the following days. He thought David would continue doing shows. He thought everything was normal because David had continued doing shows several days after Celeste's body had been found. Now, while it's absolutely abhorrent that he would try and frame the passing of this child as positive publicity for David, I do want to emphasize that I don't think he has anything to do with this case, and I think he genuinely was as blindsided as the rest of the internet. However, days after Celeste's body was found, the internet went digging. TMZ did an interview with Celeste's family where they revealed that Celeste did indeed have a boyfriend named David, and both of them had shush tattoos on their fingers. And once this evidence came to light, Jason sung a different tune on the entire situation. But before this evidence would come out, Jason would double down on the fact that he believed David was innocent, emphasizing David was on tour and that, again, he was about to join him to perform live together.
He's not.
No.
Thank God, bro, because I was still going to listen to his music. I was just worried that I'd be if I did.
No, listen, he didn't do it. He literally performed the next day. If he was a suspect, the police would have been after him. He's not a suspect.
He's not just escaping the police clutches?
No. And I'm going to perform. We're going to perform on the 20th, me and David. Do you think David did it?
Do I think he's a murderer?
Yeah.
Can't rule him out.
No way. I don't think it's him because he's been on tour.
I think it's almost obviously not him. But what's weird is that Crocs dropped him.
And Hollister, like what? Innocent until proven guilty.
Facts.
You can add authorized users to your Tesla, right?
Yeah.
So that means someone associated to David or something.
Now again, once the evidence came out that both David and Celeste had shush tattoos on their fingers, Jason would quickly come back on stream to emphasize to fans that he retracts his statements and apologizes for trying to defend David in the first place.
I want to retract my statement. Obviously, the other day, I was defending David before all the new evidence came out. I do not condone anything that David has done or is doing. Okay, that's just wicked and it's just unbelievable. It's been a lot to process. And one more thing, I want to say the girl that I met named Celeste at the Faze house is not the same Celeste that was RIP to that girl. One thing I also want to add to the David situation. I did not know anything. I'm not even close friends with David. I made a song with him. All right, I had dinner with him one time in a group setting, and then motherfuckers saying I'm best friends with him.
And 9 months later, when David was officially arrested, Jason would sing a completely different tune, emphasizing that he's now happy his former collaborator may face the consequences deserved for this crime.
This not my man's, bro. I don't want to see none of that shit. I already knew when I clicked this link, motherfuckers gonna be weird, bro. Okay, dude. How many times do I gotta say? Yes, before everything, all the evidence. And I don't know why people make it out to it just being me. Yes, I did defend him, and I regret doing that because obviously after all the evidence, I switched up on him. Yeah, I'm gonna switch up on a pedophile murderer. The RP to Celeste, man.
Now I want to bring all of this up not to necessarily cast some sort of unwarranted light onto Jason or any other creator who had associated with David before this tragedy, but instead to highlight how easily this child's passing could have slipped through the cracks. With David releasing an album just a few days after prosecutors believe he took Celeste's life, with him going out on tour all summer while her body may have allegedly been rotting in the front trunk of his Tesla, with him garnering all of these shallow relationships with different singers and streamers and celebrities, doing all of these brand deals with Hollister, Crocs, Fortnite. It was only once an insane amount of evidence was placed into the hands of the general public that people actually woke up and realized this little girl's life may have really been taken by this extremely famous internet star. With all the money and resources that David had, with the busy schedule he had touring the world, if someone wasn't so dumb as to have left this young child's body decomposing in a trunk that was left in David's name, she really may have never been found and David easily would never have been a suspect. But at this point, it may not just be streamers and celebrities that are switching up on David. It may be his own relatives. This was a post that was allegedly made on the Instagram that belonged to David's younger brother. David has several younger siblings, and this one allegedly posted, "All PDF files and R words should die." I want to emphasize we don't know that this is for sure true, but if it is this David's brother's way of saying that he believes his brother should face real consequences for his actions, or is he trying to emphasize that David is innocent and that any R words or PDFs in general should face repercussions? Now the timeline gets even stranger. Firstly, let's take a step back. Remember how I said that on the day of Celeste's 12th birthday, September 7th, 2022, David released the music video for his breakout single, Romantic Homicide, and many fans have realized that in the music video, there is a woman who looks an awfully lot like Celeste. The song is about a romantic interest of David's dying in the back of his mind. And the actress who played David's love interest in the music video, who many people again believe to be a doppelganger of Celeste, has come forth to tell her story.
Hey everyone, my name is Cassidy Clark. I was in the Here With Me music video when I was 18 years old, and I'm gonna talk about it. I submitted for the job via casting networks and I got casted. It was a 12-hour shoot, very low pay, non-union job. I met David's whole family. His whole family was there because he was a minor at the time. I was 18, he was 17, and when you're a minor working on set, you have to have your one guardian present, but his whole family was there. I met his younger sister, who is probably now around the same age as Celeste would be, and he has a younger brother as well. During the shoot, I played his girlfriend, and that was that. We followed each other on Instagram just for the sake of, oh, you shot with me for 12 hours. We might as well follow each other on Instagram. We honestly didn't really get along that well. I would say I'm pretty outgoing, and we just really didn't click. If anything, I felt like I was kind of bickering with him, but that's besides the point. The reason why I'm making this video is because I've gotten quite a few messages of people asking me if I have anything to do with this, if I know what's going on. I just wanted to put an end to it. I do not associate with David by any means. I'm an actor. I literally have nothing to do with him. I did it for a job. I didn't know who David was. I don't follow him on Instagram anymore. I'm gonna remove him as a follower, and I think that he deserves even more than what's happening to him right now. He's a monster, and I do not associate with him by any means. I'm not making this video to make this about me. I'm making this video to put an end to my association with David. Like I said, I've been getting countless amount of messages, comments, stuff like that. I know this video is gonna get the same thing, but at least I'm saying I don't associate with David, and all justice to Celeste Rivas and her family. I don't associate with David by any means. David Burke, I don't associate with you. And thanks for listening. Bye.
I just want to clarify, I apologize for the mistake. She was actually in the Here With Me music video by David, not Romantic Homicide. But people have noticed that in several of David's music videos, there is always a love interest who looks an awfully lot like Celeste, whether it's the skin tone, the hair, it's all eerily similar. But let's bring it back to the timeline between David and Celeste, long before she ended up losing her life. There were alleged photographs of her sitting next to both David's manager and his entire family at one of his shows at the Fonda Theater in June of 2024. We'll look at the photos, but the person who posted this on Reddit gave some interesting backstory. I didn't previously have permission to post this, but that context matters, and it needs to be discussed further about the Fonda Theater 2024. Since my last post, it's become increasingly clear that there's more to this situation than what has been shared so far. Of course, the CEO of the management and music company Mogul Vision and David's manager has claimed that he had no knowledge of this. However, it appears that Josh Marshall may have known more than he acknowledged in his TikTok comments. Josh was seated in the VIP balcony area on a couch right next to David's mother, with Celeste sitting close to her, laughing, having a great time, while a child was reported missing for the third time. I touched on that in a previous video. Celeste had gone missing several times before finally going missing the last time in April of 2024. And here she is, allegedly photographed at a David concert with his mother and siblings in June of 2024. Let's get back to this message. On February 19th, 2024, Josh was reportedly sent an email regarding the disappearance of a 13-year-old child, along with a missing person flyer that included Celeste's pictures. The message clearly expressed that the parents were extremely worried and urgently asking for help in bringing her home. The very next day, Celeste returned to her home in Lake Elsinore. Josh Marshall later addressed accusations that he ignored warnings about Celeste. He denied receiving any emails and stated that he had zero knowledge of anything. Josh seemed more focused on safeguarding his company's interests and his own priorities than the safety and well-being of a missing child, while deliberately providing false information about what he knew. So they're claiming that David's manager, Josh Marshall, had received emails about a missing person, which was Celeste, and he would deny receiving these emails, but was also allegedly seen photographed with Celeste and David's family at a concert in June of 2024, months after she had gone missing. On the left side of this image, you can see a child in pink leggings and a black hoodie entering the backstage of a theater. In the middle of the image, you can see what people believe to be Celeste sitting in between David's brother, sister, and mother on the top balcony of the Fonda Theater as David performed. Below them, as you can see on the right side of this image, was Josh Marshall, seated several rows below them, watching David perform. Now, this would be deeply disturbing if Josh had truly received emails months in advance about this missing child running away from home. It's also deeply disturbing that if this really is Celeste, she was right there with David's family at the very same time that her own family allegedly did not know where she even was. There's so many question marks still to this case because David's family is claiming he's innocent, as if he didn't have a relationship with this child. Meanwhile, Celeste's family allegedly knew she had a boyfriend named David, but still had no clue where she was, put up missing persons posters because they were looking for her. Meanwhile, she's here allegedly with this famous person whose entire whereabouts are completely tracked online. How was no one able to get this young child away from David in this situation before it was too late? Well, let's take it back to Steve Fisher, again, the detective who was hired by the owner of the home that David's team was renting, the alleged home where David took Celeste's life, allegedly. Steve brings up some more very disturbing details, one including the fact that many people around this situation actually knew Celeste's age and stayed quiet to protect David's best interests.
Do you personally think, or do you know, actually, that people knew her age and just didn't say anything about it?
100%. Listen, in that Discord of his, there's people that openly talk about it. They're like, hey, are you still going out with the underage girl? Are you still there talking about Epstein Island? Are you and Celeste going to Epstein Island? It's crazy how open, it was not a secret. And the people close to him in his orbit, listen, they knew. I mean, there's live streams where, not just the one with Celeste, but there's ones where he's talking to these two super young girls on I don't know what platform it was, but he's talking to them, and his friend Asia Collins is behind him, and he's laughing about the age of these girls, and he's gooning, and it's really frustrating because they have not they didn't race forward with information. They waited to the last minute to save themselves. All of a sudden, we find out one of his friend Neo has to be arrested to be brought in front of the grand jury. That's not how it should be. You shouldn't be. I don't care how close you were with this guy. If you got information, we're talking about a child.
But it goes deeper than just people in David's circle allegedly knowing about Celeste being romantically involved potentially with David. If you're curious why Celeste's family was left so in the dark about her daughter's whereabouts and who this quote-unquote boyfriend named David truly was, Steve Fisher claims that they allegedly had a very good idea of who this person was that their daughter kept running away with.
Do you think the family is as quiet as they are because they knew who David was and they knew who she was going to, and you don't really see too much of an intervention between them?
I mean, yes. I have proof that family members have been to that rental house before. Have been with David and Celeste.
Wait, her family has been to his house?
Family members. Listen, one of the first things I put down in this case was a build. We know that David and Celeste were at Six Flags on a certain date, and we found a Build-A-Bear certificate from the Build-A-Bear place in Six Flags in her cousin's name at the house. And so it's like, wait a minute. So she wasn't really missing. You want to know, in my opinion, what the missing persons report was about? It was to cover their ass so CPS didn't come in and say, hey, she's not going to school. What's up? if she's a missing person, you say she's not going to the school because she's a missing person. Then you don't have CPS in your life at that moment. Listen, I sympathize. I know that I know that they're grieving. I know they lost a daughter, but goddamn, she shouldn't have been allowed to be. She was gone a year and a half, man. A year and a half. Like, somebody should have said, maybe we shouldn't be letting Celeste live her own life like this.
Again, this is a detective, a private investigator that was hired by the person who owned the home that David had allegedly been renting, who has been conducting his own investigation on all of these matters. And he's making some really bold claims here that Celeste's family was fully involved in her life while she kept running away from home to be with David. And those missing persons reports only went up so they can cover their own butts if authorities ever put the magnifying scope on them and asked, why would you let your daughter who's 13 be with this famous singer who is 20? And he doubles down to say that it wasn't just David's family, it wasn't just Celeste's family, it was the entire city of Lake Elsinore, where Celeste grew up, that knew, it was an open secret, that she had this relationship with this famous singer who was 7 years older than her and several years past being a minor himself. The private investigator here says that that's the reason why David's manager got an email in February of 2024 talking about how there was this missing child. It's because this was not a secret to anyone. And for whatever reason, everyone was incentivized to hide it from the rest of the world.
Could you see potential charges being pressed on the parents?
I think it's too high profile of a case, right? So they're going to say, oh shit, if we do that, we're going to have a certain amount of the people that are going to be like, I don't care if what they did is wrong. You got to give them some space because they're a grieving family, and they are. But they've also got to be like, hey, we messed up, we messed up. I think there's going to be financial transactions that come out in this if this goes to trial, they're going to show that there were people that were getting money, and it's going to look really, really bad.
So, oh my gosh, man, I did not, because I was under the impression that they might have known that she was with him, but there wasn't anything. But you have verifiable evidence to show that. And when you say family members, you don't have to disclose who, but are these adult family members that would have a say in her life?
Yeah. So, like, the one, and her name's already been put out there, is Esmeralda, is a cousin who was a senior in high school. But I'm not so much blaming her. But the thing is that Esmeralda's parents, who would be her aunt and stuff like that, knew. Listen, I have other proof I can't disclose, but yes, there was adults. There was several people in her family that knew. Listen, her mom admitted she knew she was dating a guy named David, and she said, oh, I didn't really, she knew who it was. I mean, he would come out there and pick her up, in the Tesla. They knew. She'd been found there, before. Police knew that she was with him at some point before that, because, listen, the person that sent the email to his management saying, word is that she's with David. If that's true, please make sure she comes home. She's 13 years old. They only knew to send that to his manager because it was no secret in Lake Elsinore, where she lived, that she was with David.
Now, all of these events had taken place in 2024. That show that Celeste was allegedly photographed at, that was in June, in the summer of 2024. Prosecutors, in their case against David, state that he had a relationship with her until September of 2024. However, this private investigator, Steve Fisher, would post what is believed to be the final photo of Celeste that's known in existence, and it would actually be linked to a trip she took with David several months after prosecutors believe he had ended his relationship with her, because again, they think the relationship ended in September 2024, but these pictures were as far down as January of 2025, just 2 months before prosecutors believe David allegedly took Celeste's life. On the night of December 30th through the morning of December 31st, 2024, David and Celeste were together in downtown Los Angeles, where several photos were taken in public. Celeste was 14 at the time and about 70 miles from her home in Lake Elsinore. Whether she was sober that night is open to interpretation. There's photo evidence of them together again on January 2nd, 2025. Then, on January 8th, a sizable crew was filming a music video with David out of state. And by January 11th, David is in his hometown of Texas. On January 20th, 2025, he is on a Delta flight. So the question is, where was Celeste between January 3rd and January 20th, 2025? Can anyone account for her during that time? There was many people present at the music video shoot. Did anyone see her there? What about in his hometown in Texas? Does anyone have any proof of life for Celeste? After January 2nd, 2025, the alleged final time Celeste was photographed. There are still so many unanswered questions to this deeply disturbing case, and as the trial begins, it will no doubt unfold one of the most disturbing cases in history. So many people failed this young child, and even with the timeline we now know, it seems like many allegedly turned a blind eye to the abuse she was likely facing. Celeste and all the people around her who were fighting for her deserve justice, and hopefully this case can bring it.